All people are descended from Rangi and Papa, who are also called Sky and Earth. In those days, sky and earth clung closely together, and it was darkness. Rangi and Papa had 6 sons, the father of the forests, the father of storms, the father of the seas, the father of fierce people, the father of wild food, and the father of cultivated food. These 6 sons and all other beings lived in darkness for an extremely long time, able only to wonder what light and vision might be like. Finally, the sons of Sky and Earth decided something must be done. The father of fierce people urged his brothers to slay their parents. However, the father of the forest argued that they should separate their parents, making Rangi a distant sky over their heads and Papa the earth close to them like a mother. After long debate, the brothers agreed to this plan, except for the father of storms, who was distraught at the idea of separating their parents. The other brothers, nonetheless, proceeded with their plan. The father of cultivated food rose and struggled to separate his parents, but he couldn't do it. The father of the seas also struggled, but he couldn't tear them apart. The father of wild food had no better luck at separating their parents, and the father of fierce people likewise failed. The father of the forest slowly rose up and struggled, but with little success. Then he put his head against the earth and with his feet against the skies slowly pushed them apart. His parents cried out in anguish, asking how their sons could do this, but he pushed and pushed until the sky was far above. As light spread across the earth, there appeared a vast number of people, the children of Rangi and Papa. The father of storms was furious that his brothers had so cruelly separated their parents and thrust their father away. He followed his father and hid in the sky and plotted his revenge. Soon he sent down storms and squalls and fiery clouds and hurricanes to punish his brother, the father of the forests, breaking off the tall trees and leaving the forests in shambles. Then his storms swept down on the oceans of the father of the seas, and piled up waves, and generated great whirlpools. The father of the seas, frightened by the havoc in oceans, dove deep to escape his brother's wrath. The father of the seas abandoned his grandchildren, the fish and the reptiles. The seas were left not knowing what to do, and they debated how to escape the storm. Finally, the reptiles fled to the land and hid in the forests, and fish fled for refuge to the sea. The father of the seas, angered at the reptiles' desertion and the forest's willingness to receive and protect them, now struggled with his brother, the father of the forest, who in turn fought back. Thus the father of the forest provided the canoes, spears, and fish hooks from the trees, and nets woven from fibrous plants to capture the fish of the seas. And the waves from the father of the seas attacked the shores of the forest, washing away the land and all the life it holds. The father of storms also lashed out at his brothers, the father of wild food and the father of cultivated food, for their role in the separation of his parents and the exile of his father. However, Papa, the earth mother, whom the brothers had taken as their home, clasped her 2 sons and held them close to her to save them from the fury of the father of storms. Only the father of fierce people withstood the wrath of his brother as the winds and storms attacked. The father of fierce people was impervious, having planned the death of their parents and having been abandoned by his brothers on the earth. When the gales of the father of storms finally subsided, the father of fierce people began to plan his revenge on his cowardly and weak brothers. First he turned to the father of the forests and their inhabitants, both because the father of the forest had abandoned him and because he knew the offspring of the father of the forests were increasing and might ultimately overwhelm the human progeny of the father of fierce people. Taking the leaves of the wanaki tree, he made them into snares and hung them in the forests, where he caught the offspring of the father of the forest and subdued the forest. Then he took on the father of the seas, and with nets he dragged the children of the father of the seas from the waters. With a hoe and basket he dug up the children of father of wild food and the father of cultivated food. He dug up all kinds of plants and left them in the sun to dry to gain revenge on those two brothers. The father of fierce people thus consumed all his 4 brothers on earth, and they became his food. Only one brother, the father of storms, remained unconquered, and to this day his storms attack human beings on both the land and on the sea in revenge for the rending of sky and earth.